That was the hope and aspiration. Did this campaign for maybe 20 years. I actually trespassed. The last 8 times I trespassed, I got 6 months sentence. Wait, that's 4 years, but I did that over a 30-year span. It's not that much, really, think about it. But what happens if you keep going back? That's what happens. They put you in jail for a week, and they put you in jail for a month, and they say, what's the problem? 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. And I'm not the only person who went to jail. I'm just the only person who went to jail for 4 years for trespassing. Helen would cross and get a ban and bar at no risk. And then wait a year and do it again. And then, so I mean, it just was an effort to try. And the most we ever got to show up was one that was sponsored by the local bishop here, Morris Stingman, Catholic bishop, wonderful man. And 610 people got arrested at the gate, trying to make our point about nuclear weapons. Doesn't play well, but we did the best we could. That's what that was about. Yes.
So what about nuclear weapons specifically?
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, and then behind Hiroshima and Nagasaki is the city bombings of Germany and Japan to end the war. All of those are war crimes. Just measure that. The way we won that war was to bomb their major cities. So that in 1945, when they had the bomb, the only cities they could find that would help them measure the use of the bomb were middle-sized cities like Cedar Rapids, because Chicago was already burned down. You understand what I mean? So they went over there, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, found clean cities, test the 2 bombs. And, cut my father's generation slack, wounded World War II vet, came back a hero, spent his life teaching and coaching, trying to make a better world. And that man, nothing but respect. My problem is the baby boomers. See, we took that lie and then we spent the rest of our life quantifying it, enhancing it, running from it, becoming the biggest world empire the world has ever known in my lifetime. I'm 72 years old. In my lifetime, half of the topsoil in this state has disappeared. One lifetime. Who does that? And the soil we have left is dead because of all the chemicals we put in, all the petroleum-based high-tech bullshit we brought to us, which is called modernism, and we're feeding millions and killing the planet. Something wrong with that. There's a wrong picture there. So I say that because right now the world is at a perilable moment and we need to do something about it. And which brings me into my speech here. So let me give you the parameters of what I'm going to try to do here. I'm giving a sense about, my activism. While I was doing activism, and still am to one degree or not, I live at the Catholic Worker House, and we do a work of mercy. And for the last, 30 years, we've been doing this soup kitchen thing. 5 days a week. We feed folks on the first floor of the Bishop Dingman House, and we see anywhere between 50 to 150 people the days we're open. And we beg. We beg for everything. Of course, we have to pay for utilities and stuff like that, but we figure it out. We got a good base. We have 4 houses. We're trying to support people who are doing peace and justice work as we know it. We've had lots of resistors come and go. It's communal life. No one's paid a salary. You gotta take care of your own medical stuff. And most people don't hang around who join the community. It's a tough life. It's not easy to live in intentional community, but if you have an accord and if you're crazy, that's really bad. Now that's endemic. Americans by birthright are crazy, and we are the worst human beings to live with, bar none. We're that crazy. So coming into intentional community without a lot of tools on how to treat each other is pretty rough. And that comes in all ages. So, however, I would say that it is the most reasonable way to live in a time in which human space is so limited. And to do what we do, the works of mercy and resist empire, is what it looks like to be a disciple of Jesus. Now we're into the content of what I hope to be my talk. I want to give a persuasive speech about a way of looking at this thing we call the Bible in this country, which is really different from a Catholic way, Presbyterian, Episcopalian. I mean, I don't know a denomination in this country that looks at the text the way I'm going to present it. And I'm going to claim the high moral ground here. Of course I am. Of course, this is a moral book. But the high moral ground for modern people is use the tools of modern science to come up with your conclusion. And I am using the tools of modern science when I talk about this book. And I'm going to suggest that our churches have lost sight of this book and has chose to read it as a proof text for abstract dogmas and teachings. That, personally, it's not that they're wrong. That's not the problem with dogma, the Trinity, the Immaculate Conception. That's not the problem. It's not that they're wrong. They don't work. Because if the old song is, they will know we are Christians by our love of Him alone. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Well, friends, the United States does not run on love. And this country is run on wealth, war, and empire. It's the nature of world empires. It's just that we happen to be the last world empire before what might be an extinction moment that we're bringing on to ourselves. And I'm not telling you anything you don't instinctively know, because you are modern people. You don't buy into the flat earth world. These folks did. Can't blame them. They took what they saw and they had an experience. They claim a godly experience. These people called Jews, they are a remarkable group of people. By the time this book came together in the 1st and 2nd century, did you hear what I said? This book came together in the 1st and 2nd century. That is to say, what goes for the Old Testament was now in a canon. That's what the Romans did for us. They made everything, made these things canons. Canon meaning like you collect them and you think these are the official writings. And the New Testament was all collected down in the box to the printer by 150 AD. Very important. Very important for me to talk to you, because this is what I'm going to try to do today about the scriptures, the Holy Book. You see this picture? I see a rabbit with ears. Do you guys see a rabbit with ears?
It's a bunny and a duck.
See a dog, yeah.
It's an optical illusion they use for psychology.
Right. Now, I'm just asking you point blank. Do you see a rabbit?
Yeah.
Cool. That's all. This is a page. There are dots. It's reflecting a message. And the message from the perspective you're seeing, it's a rabbit. And you're right, it's an optical illusion. Just like I'm looking at you, it's an optical illusion because I'm really translating a lot of stuff physically with my eyeball to separate stuff so I can see who you are. I mean, that's science. So I'm asking to look at this science. See, this is a rabbit. You're right. Now look. I see a duck. Do you see a duck? These are simple questions. You do. Fair enough. Well, that's all I'm trying to tell you.
I also see a hairdryer.
I don't know, that could be a hairdryer. All right, I will go there. For the purposes of this talk, I think this is really all about seeing the text as a duck. And people who follow this book in this country, no matter what brand they are, think it's a rabbit. Because a rabbit, this book is proving that God exists. This book is proving that what our churches preach is true. Our pastors will go from dogma, teachings, right to proof text. This book for our churches is used like a rabbit. I'm saying, oh no, I'm a modern person now. I'd like to know how this book was written and who wrote it and why they wrote it. And modern tools give us this. Archaeology, anthropology, textual ancient text. You've all seen the titles of the classes and shit that's out there. We believe in that. We can break this book now down. We can find out between years. Like there used to be like a search for the historical Jesus, like find his bones. No, we don't need to find his bones. All we need to do is find out who wrote this and why they wrote it, and what was their purpose. And by all of my measurement, the New Testament is not a proof text. It's a discipleship text. Big difference. I mean, rabbits and ducks, they look alike. They're not like a rabbit or a hippopotamus, but it's subtle here, friends. Discipleship, the New Testament. And the only fair way to do this for you is that when I was in high school, college, I was trying to regroup from the death of my dad, who meant everything to me, and I ran into what they call the charismatic movement. It was kind of like that. What do Catholics do? Have a personal relationship with Jesus in the 70s, but they become charismatics. And we had prayer circles. It was just great. I know it sounds silly. I fell in love with Jesus. I was committed to him. I read the book, and I read the Gospels. I was on freshman in college. I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's all I needed to read to go like, something's wrong here. I went to the two priests I trusted, and I said, Father Jack, Father Bob, on campus ministry at UNI, I read this text, but it doesn't seem like many people follow it. And then he said, yeah. He said, that's the problem. Okay, existentially, I'm not telling you anything more than that. There is nowhere in the New Testament where Jesus gives anybody permission to kill. The man died by the people who had license to kill. That Christians today would support the death penalty is so ugly. There is nowhere you can see in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John where wealth is given such deference as it's given in this country. And nowhere in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John could we justify any of the wars of my lifetime. My lifetime. I'm just speaking for my generation. And we're the most anti-Christian people on the planet. And trying to rehabilitate Jesus is very difficult. However, that's, I just, I'm 72 years old, this is what I do, and this is how I want to be consistent with my life. And by doing that, I mean following Jesus is I do live in a community, we do feed people 5 days a week. Currently, we have 2 families from, one from Colombia and the other one from Honduras. We took them in because they were desperately looking for a place, and we couldn't find anybody else who wanted to live in our community. The ones from, and they all speak Spanish. The one from Colombia, they all speak Spanish, but they're black. I mean, they're African Colombians. And Erica just had a baby. We got to help do that for the last 8 months. Birth this kid and move this family on. And the Honduras family's got other issues. They're running away. He was a barber, running away from violence. He's got a scar on his neck when he was opening up his little barber shop, and the local mafia people were putting the finger on him, and he had to get the hell out of town. They burnt down his barber shop, and they had 3 kids, and they're like 25. So we've got them too. And the neat thing is that when we asked them to move in, we said, look, if you're gonna move into our house, you have to help do the serving of the poor, because that's our project. Everybody who lives at the house has to do the work of mercy that the house does. So it's quite a thing. On Sunday, there may not be anybody who speaks English and not doing the work, because that's when the Hispanics can help cover. And they actually do serve the people, our guests. I personally think that's really a home run in the world of kingdom making, because the text that I read tells us we have to be hospitable to receive the message. When Jesus sends his people out to say, hey, go out and do the work, he tells them, go to someone's house, receive their hospitality, and then preach. I'm just saying. When you talk about the first Christian community, according to the book of Acts, where was it? Come on, Bible stuff here.